The spacewalk that almost ended everything. In space, there is no room for panic. One mistake, one delayed reaction, and there is nothing between you and eternity. This was supposed to be routine, a scheduled spacewalk, a controlled operation performed dozens of times before. But routine ends the moment something unexpected refuses to follow the plan. To understand why this spacewalk still matters today, we need to understand how thin the margin for error truly is beyond Earth. Space exploration depends on precision, trust, and systems working perfectly together. When even one of those fractures, survival becomes uncertain. The astronaut exited the spacecraft slowly, every movement deliberate. The suit felt familiar, yet heavy, layers of protection separating fragile human life from vacuum and radiation. Tether secured, tools checked, breathing steady. At first, everything went according to procedure. The vastness of space stretched endlessly in every direction. Earth rotated silently below, distant and indifferent. The task was simple: make adjustments, inspect equipment, return inside. Then came the first sign that something was wrong: a subtle resistance, a tool that did not respond as expected. The kind of problem that usually resolves with a small correction. But this time, the correction didn't work. Seconds stretched longer. The astronaut adjusted position, checked the tether, verified suit readouts. Nothing appeared catastrophic. Yet something felt off. A quiet instinct signaling danger before alarms ever sound. Inside the spacecraft, the crew monitored the situation closely. Voices remained calm. Procedures were reviewed. Solutions suggested. From the outside, it still looked manageable. But space does not escalate problems gradually. It waits. Then it forces decisions. The astronaut realized the task was taking longer than planned. Oxygen usage increased. Fatigue crept in faster than expected. Every movement now carried weight. Every second mattered. What began as a minor complication was turning into something far more serious. And as the distance between the astronaut and safety remained measured in meters, the margin for survival narrowed with every breath. This spacewalk was no longer routine. It was becoming a test of limits few ever face. The problem refused to resolve itself. Each attempted adjustment introduced new resistance. Movements that should have been smooth felt strained, as if space itself was pushing back. Inside the suit, physical effort multiplied quickly. The astronaut's heart rate climbed. Breathing grew heavier. The cooling system worked harder, yet heat built up. Fatigue arrived sooner than expected, turning simple actions into deliberate struggles. Communication with the crew remained steady, but tension seeped through measured voices. Every suggestion was weighed carefully. Every option carried risk. Abort too soon, and the task would remain unfinished. Continue too long, and the suit's limits might be crossed. The astronaut checked oxygen levels again, still within range. But the margin was shrinking. Every minute outside consumed resources that could not be replaced. Spacewalks demand constant awareness of position. Without gravity, the body floats. Without friction, momentum persists. A misjudged movement can send an astronaut drifting away, tether or not. The tether became a focal point, a thin line of security connecting life to the spacecraft. The astronaut verified its attachment repeatedly, aware that even reliable systems can fail under unexpected stress. The physical strain intensified. Muscles worked against pressurized fabric. Hands cramped inside gloves designed for protection, not comfort. Tasks that once felt automatic now required focus and force. Ground control monitored telemetry, but numbers could not fully capture the reality outside. They saw oxygen consumption rising. They saw elevated heart rate, but they could not feel the resistance. They could not sense the growing urgency. The astronaut made a decision. Pause the task, regain control, preserve energy, but space offers no place to rest. Floating still required effort. Holding position demanded strength. The awareness set in quietly. The suit was doing its job, but it was approaching its operational limits. Not failure, but strain. And strain, if ignored, leads to failure. Every spacewalk carries risk. This one was now balanced on a narrowing edge. The difference between return and disaster would depend on discipline, timing, and calm under pressure. And the most dangerous moment was still ahead. The critical moment arrived without warning. A sudden increase in resistance made movement sharply harder. The astronaut felt it immediately. The suit was no longer just protective. It was becoming restrictive. Every motion demanded more force. Flexing an arm required full concentration. Turning the body felt slow, deliberate, exhausting. Inside the helmet, breath echoed louder, each inhale more urgent than the last. Heart rate climbed higher. The cooling system struggled to keep pace. Heat built inside the suit, clouding focus. Sweat collected, nowhere to go. Vision narrowed slightly, a subtle warning sign. The crew inside the spacecraft recognized the danger. Telemetry showed the trend clearly. This was no longer about completing the task. This was about survival. Instructions came through with urgency masked by control. Return to the airlock, now. The astronaut attempted to reposition, but fatigue slowed response time. Muscles protested. Grip strength weakened. The suit's stiffness resisted movement at the worst possible moment. Every second outside now carried exponential risk. Oxygen reserves continued to drop. Carbon dioxide levels crept upward. The margin for error was nearly gone. This was the psychological edge. Panic would accelerate oxygen loss. Overexertion would worsen heat buildup. Calm was not optional. It was required. The astronaut focused on process. One movement at a time. One hand. One foot. Ignore the alarms in the mind. Trust training. Trust the tether. Trust the crew. The distance to the airlock felt longer than it was. Without gravity, progress was slow and deliberate. Every motion had to be controlled to avoid wasted effort. Inside the spacecraft, the crew prepared for contingency. Airlock procedures were readied. Emergency protocols reviewed. Everyone understood how close the situation had come to irreversible. The astronaut reached the airlock with minutes to spare. Oxygen low, body exhausted, suit strained but intact. The hatch closed, pressure returned, and only then did the adrenaline release. This spacewalk did not end in disaster, but it came close enough to leave a permanent mark. Because in space, survival is often decided long before failure occurs. It is decided in the moments when discipline overrides fear. And those moments define who comes home. Inside the airlock, the astronaut sat motionless as pressure normalized. The suit hissed softly, returning to equilibrium. Muscles trembled from exhaustion. Breathing slowed, but the body remained flooded with adrenaline. Only after the helmet came off did the full weight of the experience settle in. This was not a story of heroics or flawless execution. It was a reminder of how quickly control can slip away in an unforgiving environment. The incident was reviewed in detail. Procedures were adjusted, suit limitations re-examined. Every second of telemetry studied. Not to assign blame, but to understand how close routine had come to catastrophe. What made this spacewalk significant was not the malfunction itself. It was how quietly danger escalated. No alarms at first, no dramatic failure, just increasing resistance, rising fatigue, and narrowing margins. Space does not offer clear warnings. It offers subtle signals that demand respect. Ignoring them, even briefly, can be fatal. For the astronaut, the experience changed how they viewed every mission afterward. Risk was no longer abstract. It was personal, measured in breath, heat, and seconds remaining. This near miss also reshaped how space agencies plan extravehicular activity. Better suit designs, stricter timelines, clearer abort thresholds. Because survival in space depends on recognizing when to stop, not just how to push forward. Today, as missions grow more complex and ambitions stretch farther from Earth, this lesson matters more than ever. Technology improves, training evolves, but the margin for error remains thin. Space does not forgive confidence. It rewards humility, discipline, and restraint. And this spacewalk stands as proof that the most dangerous moments are often the ones that seem manageable until suddenly they are not. So what do you think? Are we repeating the same mistake again?